So delighted to be here with Chiara Henderson, former head of CX at Slack and now CX consultant and executive coach. How are you, Chiara?
I'm great. Very well.
Very exciting to have you here. Are you looking forward to the event later tonight?
Oh, I am indeed, yeah. It's real sort of my passion area,
Yes.
so it's lovely to have such a nice mix.
I know, fantastic. Straight in, but the first one is, for you, what are the three key elements that make up, a super great customer experience?
So for me, it's when I look at customer experience, I look at it holistically, and in that I look at product and what makes up a fantastic product. Purpose, so the why. Why are you doing this? What is your customer or your company about? And then the third piece is support, and that's often the poor cousin to the other two. But for me, a great customer experience is when all of those are aligned and there's a coherence between those three elements.
And you make it sound so beautiful and eloquent, but in your experience in the companies you've worked in, who's that led from though? Is that coming from your team, or would you need to have full support from your board and the CEO?
That's led from the that's led from the CEO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's people who really get that these elements work together, and I've had the opportunity to work in established companies and startups have, they're fortunate they can graft that, they can bake that in from the very start.
Right. Yeah.
Established companies have to catch up.
It's sometimes advice we like to give our candidates when we work with them on finding their next dream career. It's actually to really interrogate's probably a strong word, but actually do interrogate the leadership team if you're going in for that super senior role, to ensure the vision they're talking about is actually imbued down through the company, just like you described.
Absolutely.
Then in terms of customer service, because again, I think I just had to actually cancel a subscription service for a utility company, and I had a dreadful customer service. I was kept on hold for 15 minutes this morning on my way to work. I'd love to know what you believe the role in customer service plays in delighting the customer.
Oh, how long have we got?
Well, we've got as long as you want.
Okay. I think customer service and customer support is the unsung hero in companies. Somewhere along the line, it's gotten very broken. So we expect to be pissed off. We expect hideously long waiting times. And we just expect to be disappointed. And that is, no matter what you do in terms of your wonderful product, your beautiful brand advertising, your loyalty, all of that, it's that moment where, it's such a powerful moment of truth when you're helping someone in need. So the role it plays is, for me, one, it reinforces the brand. It builds loyalty. Done right, it builds loyalty. And it is a treasure trove of information. So all too often, I think when we're trying to transform businesses, companies think about what's the new idea, what's the thing we're not doing, what's the next big thing, and it's rarely about the next big thing. It's about the thousands of tiny things done really, really well, and real, true customer experience. I think at its hub is about empathy. So it's about listening, and I think that's an art that's lost at the moment. Really, really listening to somebody. So customer support tends to be, the KPIs that people are measured on is like, how many tickets did you get through? How fast did you get through that? Is that a good metric? What if it took that bit longer to answer this customer? And I think the real secret sauce of an excellent customer experience is speed and accuracy. So there's no point in answering my question or what you think my question is really fast if you didn't listen to it and you're actually answering the wrong question. So that's a yes for speed, but no for accuracy. And likewise, there's no point in it being a really accurate answer if it's taken weeks to get. So But I'm constantly amazed, and it sort of upsets me when I see particularly small companies, because I'm passionate about entrepreneurs and startups and small companies, and I see the people behind these, that this is their life passion to set up on their own business, and they've done so much around branding and hiring and product, and then somebody at the the coalface does something or doesn't do something. Yes. And it's like, that's not what that founder, So I'm really curious and interested in, well, how does that happen? How do you, two recent experiences, and again, you'll have to stop me, because I can just talk about this all day. So I have these experiences all the time. I'm just sort of highly tuned into them. But a large furniture retailer, I needed to get stools, right? And it actually took me, I had to go out 4 times, and it was a bit of a trek. Mm-hmm. And the 4th time I got the 4th stool, which was so full set, and then I went to put it together, and it was squeaked. And the box, when I opened the box, was written on, so somebody had actually brought it back. Nobody checked it, put it back on the shelf, and I brought it to my house. Oh no! I experienced the same thing that was wrong with it. So I bring it back, and I explained the story, and I said, look, and there's drawings on the inside, so it's so somebody obviously had didn't check it and sold it to me, and it squeaks. And, it's like, it's just frustrating. It's my 4th trip out, and it's a long way. And this girl gave me a refund, and I'm standing there, and I said, is that it? And she said, what? I said, are you not going to sort of apologise? And she said, for it squeaking. I said, no. So it's empathy. Yes, okay. All I wanted was for her to say, oh my God, that is such a pain.
Yeah. Well, then, in your opinion, though, because, and I opened with a negative, and I shouldn't have, if I reflected on that, but who could we look to that's doing customer service, in your opinion, really well?
Now, I may come across biased. Slack is doing customer experience exceptionally well.
And why do they get it right?
Because empathy is one of the core values, and they're not values on a wall, they are values that are lived by. So one of the key, when we take on, and we can get onto that later, the types of people we hire, but one of the key things that we stand by is always assume a customer is busier than you, right? Assume they are smart, and do the groundwork. So that means one of the things that we would measure is the interaction, the number of interactions to conclusion. So how often do you send a mail, and 24 hours later you get something back and said, and it's an answer that's already actually in the mail if they really thought about it. And you give the answer back, and it's over and back. Okay. So they're just, because they're being measured on how quickly they can turn around an email, you get this time wasting.
Okay. And you mentioned something really interesting and dear to our hearts here in TalentHub. You said that the reason it worked is that the values were embedded into the culture, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the impact culture has on great and poor customer experience.
I think culture is so hugely important. It dictates who you hire, who you look for. And done well, it's the glue. So culture is going to happen anyway. A company will find its culture, and I think the role of a strong leadership team is to craft that culture, and it's crafted through the stories you tell, how you do things, who makes it to the top, and how, and the willingness to support bad behaviour from high performers.
Yes, yeah.
All of those sort of things. The culture is, I was saying it informs who you hire, but also how you treat those people when you hire them. There's no point in hiring really smart people, putting them into a customer support role, and then assuming they can't make any sort of rational, decision.
Yes, yeah.
So your culture needs to support those things. So hire good people, we're all talking about hire, but fundamentally, I believe people want to do a good job. They want to feel proud about what they do. And they go into a company with that intention. and that's either supported as they go, or it's little by little, it's, you know, taken away from them. So does your culture support that, you know, that growth, or does it, you know, does it detract?
It's interesting. It's like what we were saying just off camera, where I've seen in this market some of the best people who've become chief heads of marketing have come out of customer support roles. And again, there are some companies who actively promote from out of those departments, and I guess it would be great to see more of that happening in the Irish economy for a start.
And I mean, they're the people who know the customer intimately. You know, and I think there needs to be more value placed on you know, a customer experience or a customer support role. And you know, I gave the example at Slack. They're like, customer experience is it's a really highly respected department, and it partners with engineering and partners with product, and both of those departments would go to customer experience and customer support and go like, what else can we be doing? To such an extent that actually our agents aren't just agents; they would be, you know, product ambassadors, and each would represent different areas. So they have that whole other part of their role that they're looking and they're feeding back, you know, what customers are looking at. And done correctly, it means you have this constantly active user test base, you know, and it's seeing that journey is amazing, but also the impact that has for the call center agent. They're not now a ticket machine, you know, and they're taking that information and they're bringing it to product. So they are a really
rich source of data that's informing the product decision.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Ciara, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Lovely talking
Cheers.
to you.